One of the most successful Canadian animation studios, and certainly the most well-known, is Nelvana, and for good reason. Throughout its existence, they've entertained viewers with their literary adaptations, imaginative takes on famous properties, and even their own original concepts. Nelvana is also an innovative company in its own right, and has even attracted the attention of top Hollywood talent like George Lucas and Tim Burton. I'm going to celebrate the studio today, as I go over their highlights. Founded in 1971 by Michael Hirsch, Patrick Loubert, and Clive A. Smith, Nelvana got its start producing rather unique animated television specials that immediately stood out to viewers. The most notable of the bunch is probably The Devil and Daniel Mouse, a take on the famous story. Airing on CBC in 1978, the special managed to satirize the music industry and also made an impression of its animal-populated world and the animation on the devil. And yes, he is referred to as the devil, an example of how Nelvana was not interested in toning things down, and it's great that CBC allowed them that freedom. Among the animators who worked on this and other early television specials at the studio was Robin Budd, who would become instrumental in the design and animation of several Nelvana productions over the years. Their 1977 holiday special, A Cosmic Christmas, would also serve as an important part of their history when George Lucas saw it. His admiration for the special led him to ask Nelvana to produce the animation for a segment in the Star Wars holiday special. Titled The Story of the Faithful Wookiee, Lucas wrote the story outline, but also gave Nelvana plenty of freedom in designing the characters and locations. In addition to being the only part of the special George Lucas is not ashamed of, it also served as the introduction for Boba Fett. While Lucasfilm did create a live-action costume test to help the artists, the designers added their own little details, which were then incorporated into Boba Fett's eventual look in The Empire Strikes Back. As for the segment, it's quite an entertaining short, with some creative alien designs, and it makes for a fun Star Wars bonus quest. Thanks to the success of their television specials, Nelvana set about making their first animated feature. Rock and Roll was an ambitious film, which also continues some of the themes present in The Devil and Daniel Mouse. Costing $8 million to make, the Nelvana team put a lot into the movie, especially in depicting the post-apocalyptic world, and the way it uses the light and camera deserves appreciation. In addition to Robin Budd serving as the principal animator on the Mick Jagger-inspired villain, Rock and Roll was also one of the early animation jobs for the Lion King director Roger Allers. The film is definitely a product of the 80s, which adds to its fascination and cult appeal, and I think it is worth a look despite some of the narrative shortcomings. Unfortunately, MGM did a terrible job of marketing the film and gave it an extremely limited release, which led to Nelvana almost filing for bankruptcy. That's an aspect of the animation industry I really don't like, where the fate of a studio rests entirely on the people responsible for the distribution of their work. They should not be punished for the actions of the marketers. Thankfully, it did not take long for Nelvana to bounce back, as they decided to partner with various companies to produce animated television series. Nelvana worked alongside Deke on the first season of Inspector Gadget, and continued their association with George Lucas on the Droids and Ewoks cartoons. Their biggest break came, though, when they acquired the animation license to the Care Bears. Through the show, Nelvana helped flesh out the world of those friendly bears, and they also produced 3 feature films with varying degrees of success. Even though the sugary sweet tone ran counter to what Nelvana had made before, the Care Bears helped save the company. Nelvana eventually started getting calls to make animated shows based on other properties. They even came close to producing a Doctor Who animated series, and went so far as to create concept art, which retained that distinct Nelvana look, and write scripts for multiple episodes, but BBC unfortunately pulled the plug at the last minute for budget reasons. One of their biggest successes in this time was Beetlejuice. With the involvement of Tim Burton and under the direction of Robin Budd, this show did an impressive job of turning the hit comedy into a Saturday morning cartoon. However, it was Babar that would help establish Nelvana's future. Faithfully adapting the beloved French children's books, this was a sincere series that retained the beautiful illustrative art style and respected its audience. After Babar, Nelvana prided themselves in the adaptations of beloved literature and comics, making sure the stories, designs, and animation were as faithful as possible. When they adapted Hergé's The Adventures of Tintin, they stayed very close to the comic's original writing. The character designs were also taken directly from the source material, and the result made for a fantastic adventure series with the theme music becoming especially iconic. Nelvana even became interested in producing an animated Tintin movie, but Steven Spielberg had acquired the film rights at the time. Nelvana gave a similar treatment to Mary Turtle's comic strip bear Rupert, producing a nicely animated show with plenty of charm and imagination. There was also Little Bear, centering on a bear who learns lessons and has other escapades with his friends, and this managed to enchant children for 5 seasons. Meanwhile, the Magic School Bus mixed education with solid humor and inventive scenarios, and Pippi Longstocking captured the wish fulfillment element of Astrid Lindgren's classic book series, as it follows the pig-tailed girl's exploits in Sweden. There was also Redwall, which brought Brian Jacques' medieval book series to the screen with plenty of swordplay and intriguing mythos. And Flying Rhino Junior High successfully depicted the strange goings-on at a school where Phantom resides in the basement, while Franklin was a charming little series about a turtle living in the forest. As you can see, Nelvana's animated shows put an emphasis on adventure and taking the characters to far-off places, and that's probably a major reason why their work resonated with children. Nelvana was also helped by the formation of 4 Canadian children's networks, YTV and Family Channel in 1988, and then later Teletoon and Treehouse Television in 1997. Due to Canadian broadcasting rules requiring channels air a certain percentage of Canadian content, Nelvana found themselves even more in demand. In addition to making homegrown productions, the studio also continued to collaborate with American producers, resulting in fun shows like Dog City for the Jim Henson Company, Eek the Cat for Fox Kids, and even an animated series based on Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Nelvana continued to make strides in other areas of animation too. Nelvana produced Donkey Kong Country, one of the first computer animated shows, and one of the first to utilize motion capture technology. Nelvana also produced William Joyce's Roly Poly Oly, with the animators brilliantly bringing his visual style to computer animation. As you can see, the studio has primarily produced children's series over the years, but they've occasionally gone back to their roots and done adult animation. Bob and Margaret was a hilarious depiction of a British couple as they deal with relatable and funny situations. In the 3rd season, the title characters even moved to Toronto, which provided opportunities for new episode ideas, as they tried to grow accustomed to Canadian culture. The Global Television Network promoted Bob and Margaret quite extensively, allowing the series to become a notable rating success for the channel. Nelvana also co-produced the short-lived cult series Clone High, created by Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Bill Lawrence. This enormously funny parody of after-school specials was sadly prematurely cancelled by MTV, but has since built a legacy and a large following. Over time, Nelvana has continued to build its extensive catalog, including more adaptations like Jacob Tutu, not to mention original series like Spliced and Detention Air. And even as the studio remains extensively Canadian, they still work with outside companies. They teamed up with Sony Pictures Animation to make Hotel Transylvania the series, a delightful show based on the popular film franchise, with Robin Budd directing every episode. However, that's just a sample of what Nelvana has made over the years. If I went over every single show, movie, and television special they've produced, this video will probably be 4 hours long. It definitely shows the lasting impact that Canadian animation studio with the polar bear logo has had on our childhoods and television animation in general. Michael Hirsch, Patrick Lebert, and Clive A. Smith risked a lot when they decided to start up their own animation company in the Great White North. And even through ups and downs, Nelvana is still here and is still iconic. Congratulations on 50 remarkable years, and here's to many more.